And DDINDIA correspondent Amritpal Singh is in Tel Aviv. He sent us this ground report.
He has amassed a huge number of tanks, giving indications that they could be going in or preparing to go in for a ground assault. In fact, that hill that you see behind me, the Gaza Strip, starts just behind that, which is the active action of war or the hotbed of military action. In fact, you can see the Israeli military has amassed not only tanks but artillery guns here, which they are constantly firing into into Gaza, saying that they are firing only Hamas targets and not hitting civilians, though the Palestinians allege otherwise, and saying the rising number of casualties give an indication that they are actually hitting civilian targets. But as it's always in war, truth is always the first casualty of war. We are trying to bring you the report from ground zero, how the Israeli army is carrying out its operations. The only thing that's perhaps weighing on their minds is that given that Hamas has taken Israeli civilians and soldiers hostage, what if they stand true to or hold true to their word and start executing them? What happens then? And then the whole course of war would change. Right now, the UN has said that Israel's call for displacement of 1.1 million Gazans will have a devastating effect, clearly indicating that it is trying to tell both sides to show restraint, but for the moment, neither side is blinking, and the situation here, even as a week of war passes, becomes grimmer and graver by the day. With camera person Satya Prakash Dubey, this is Amritpal Singh on the Israel-Gaza border for DDINDIA.
And Amritpal Singh now joins us from Tel Aviv. Amrit, how grave is the situation and where does the war go from here? What is the general view among analysts?
Okay, the situation is very, very grave, and it's getting grimmer by the day. Today is the 9th, the war enters into its 9th day. Last Saturday, the Hamas had fired targets on Israeli territory, and then Israel responded. We are seeing the sort of destruction that is taking place. There are casualties on both sides. Numbers, of course, vary. There are claims, counterclaims, as happens in any conflict situation or a war situation. Truth is the first casualty, but the numbers are significantly high of those dead, of those injured on both sides. The Israeli army continues, the Air Force basically continues to pound targets within Israel with its bombs from the airspace. There is fire happening, or artillery fire happening from the Israeli side. Neither is the Hamas backing down. It is firing rockets into Israel. Constantly there are siren alarms. I was all day along yesterday at the Gaza border, and we toured the border extensively. There were rockets being fired almost every 15 minutes. In fact, at the hotel that I'm staying in, there are sirens that go on, and there's a protocol. You have to run into safe shelters or bunkers that they've built, and that happens at least twice a night. As far as Tel Aviv, Tel Aviv is about 60 to 70 kilometers off from the northernmost border of Gaza. So they attacked the Ben Gurion airport last night. There were rockets fired at the Ben Gurion airport. So the rocket attacks continue. There are also reports, as Hamas claims, they've executed those taken hostage. The numbers vary again. Some numbers say they're 9, others put it at 13. We don't know the exact numbers yet because, as I said, along with the war, there's an information warfare going on. Both sides putting out information to use it for psychological warfare. It is very, very difficult to verify the exact numbers because depending upon which side you're talking to, they have their own narratives. So it's really a war of narratives.
Indeed, Amrit, but do you know, what do people say Hamas is going to do now?
Well, Hamas would want to hold on as long as they can. They've said that we'll fight to the last drop of our blood. They are basically, very motivated fanatics, if one could say that. The Israelis and much part of the world calls them terrorists for their activities. They view themselves as freedom fighters for fighting for the cause of Palestine. But even if we leave the politics apart, the fact remains they are a very motivated lot. Their response right now is to hold on as much, inflict as much damage, and try and see, if geopolitics can influence a ceasefire, and then they can claim a moral victory for having attacked Israel and having taken them by surprise and inflicted much damage upon them. So, but if it comes to a fight to the end, there is no doubt, I think, even in Hamas's mind, that Israel is a much, much superior force militarily, economically, even in terms of the geopolitical influence that it has vis-a-vis Hamas and how it is viewed in most parts of the world. There would be quarters, and there are quarters that are supporting them for reasons of geopolitics, but militarily they are no match to Israel. So Hamas's best strategy would be to see how this can be prolonged as far as possible and keep holding the threat of the humanitarian crisis to achieve their ends.
Well, Amrit, thanks very much for being with us.